President Biden declaring June a national month of action with new incentives to get people vaccinated by July 4th, like free childcare and free Anheuser-Busch beer. It comes as nearly 63% of U.S. adults have received at least one dose. Earlier, I spoke with Dr. Anthony Fauci and asked him if the president's goal of getting at least one shot to 70% of adults by July 4th is realistic.
You know, I think it is. We still have to continue to get people to be vaccinated. One of the problems we face is that we don't want people to get complacent.
Is it premature right now to pull back on some of the mask mandates?
You know, it's premature if you have a level of infection in the community that is really quite high. If you pull back on masking, then you're going to wind up having a danger of peaking again.
Will young kids, do you think, have to wear masks next school year in the fall? Kids under 12?
Kids under 12. It is likely that in the schools where there are areas where there's a considerable amount of viral activity, that the CDC might continue to recommend that kids wear masks in school.
Dr. Fauci, some of your emails were obtained by several news organizations under the Freedom of Information Act. You exchanged emails with the Chinese director of their Center for Disease Control. President Trump's former chief of staff today suggested that you and others didn't do enough to investigate the origins of the virus. Did you?
So when you talk about investigating the origins, I don't believe that that's the role of the National Institutes of Health.
But in general, do you think the government did enough to look into where this virus came from?
Well, you know, it depends on what you mean. The WHO went and looked there. Most people feel that, in fact, we need to go further and get more cooperation and collaboration from the Chinese to be able to determine the origin.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.